Alright, so we're going to move on to some adding tips here. So this is going to be actually adding and subtracting tips, because adding and subtracting are very similar to each other. In fact, they are opposites of each other. So, adding tip number 1, this is going to be in case you are either adding or subtracting, but the things have the exact same sign. So that means plus or minus. So we'll give an example here. We'll use a 2, and we're going to add it to a 2. So in this case, we have an implied plus sign out here. We could say that this is plus 2, and both of these have the exact same sign in front of them, a plus sign. So if we have things with the exact same sign, you're going to just add the two numbers. So in this case, with addition, it's fairly easy. Plus 2, well, that's going to give you a positive 4. But we actually do something similar if these two numbers have the same sign, but that sign is negative. So let's swap out these plus signs, and we're going to look at some negative signs. So we're going to look at negative 2 minus 2. So you could leave this like this, but anytime you have a minus sign, you can also think of this as adding a negative. So whichever way works for you, if you see a minus in between, you can always turn that minus into plus a negative. If you turn it into plus a negative, one thing I like better about it is you can see that these are two separate numbers, negative 2 and negative 2. So the tip that we said is that if both numbers have the same sign, then you add the numbers together. So 2 plus 2 is going to be equal to 4. But the sign in front of this 4, it has to match the sign of the numbers that you started with. So here the sign that both of these numbers had was a minus sign. So whatever you start with, that sign, that needs to follow through to the end. So we have a minus 2, and we add another minus 2. That takes us to negative 4. If you think of this as being on a number line, if we think of our number line down here, we're starting at 0. Well, this one takes us minus 2. That's going to take us 2 this way. This one takes us another minus 2. So we start at minus 2 and we go another minus 2. That's one other way we can think about this being at negative 4. So this is a tip for if they have the exact same sign. While we have this out, though, we're going to go through another addition tip. We're going to go through what to do if these numbers have opposite signs. So we'll change up our numbers here a little bit. And we will look at, we'll do an easier one to think about first. 3 minus 2. So what do I mean when I say opposite signs? Well, you can think about this one as being a plus 3 and this one as being a minus 2. If you ever don't see a sign in front of it, that means that it is a plus sign in front of it. So we have opposite signs. These two terms, one has a plus and one has a minus. Plus and minus are opposites. So these two numbers have opposite signs. So the trick when we have opposite signs is that we start by subtracting the smallest number from the largest number. So in this case, we look at 3 and 2, and we say, okay, 2 is the smallest number, so we subtract 2 from 3. So 3 minus 2, that's just going to give us a 1. Now in this case, that may seem fairly simple, but let's reverse these around a little bit and say, all right, what about negative 2 plus 5? Actually, let's change this a little bit more. Let's do negative 5 plus 2. So with negative 5 plus 2, so what's our first step? We subtract the smallest number from the largest number. So when I say the smallest number, I just mean of the 5 and 2, which one is smaller? So 2 is smaller than 5. So the first thing we do is we say, what is 2 less than 5? Well, 5 minus 2, that's going to be 3. But then we have to figure out if this is going to be a positive 3 or a negative 3. In order to figure that out, we have to decide, is negative 5 bigger or is positive 2 bigger? So negative 5 or positive 2, is the negative number bigger or is the positive number bigger? If the negative number is bigger, that means that this 3 is going to be negative. If the positive number is bigger, well, that means that this 3 is going to be positive. So in this case, the negative number, so negative 5, is bigger than the positive number, positive 2's. So because the negative is bigger, the negative wins out, and this 3 is a negative. So whichever one is bigger, that's the sign that wins out. So we start, we just do the 5 minus the 2, because these are opposite signs. The 5 minus the 2 gives us the 3. And then because the negative number is bigger, the negative sign stays. And that is the tip for what to do with opposite signs when adding and subtracting.